So this is what happens, right? He creates the pocket dimension and everything seems fine until this version, these heroes, until he finds out that apparently there was a little glitch and a team, like the knockoff Avengers, were accidentally teleported in here. It's okay, so he has to fight them because they figure out that, it's his fault. They just assumed that for some reason. So they fight. First of all is Captain Alexander. He's wearing bulletproof armor along with having a laser gun, 2 laser miniguns, like, right? It has practically 0 reload time. When he arrives there on his ship, boom, without, wanna know something? He destroyed the ship so fast that when he was in his house chilling with his family still saw him. He was so fast that while he was destroying the ship, he was still there. Right? And when he came back, boom, no one noticed. And reality didn't even know he was there. Right? The ship just exploded, so reality just dealt with what it had. So boom, and he dies in with it. And then he excuses himself and he's like, oh, I have to go somewhere for my work and stuff, my new job. And he goes, right? And he goes there in his suit, and then it's the woman, right? What's her name again? Her name is Roz, right? Rose. And then she has the device and she's like, when I click this, everything will go back. I know this is a pocket dimension, right? And then she clicks it, but nothing happens. And then he holds the internals of the device in his hand, and he's like that, like titanium, metal, and vibranium, right? He just destroyed it. Like, she just went without even trying, right? And when he takes it out, it's like ashes now, right? And she's like, oh no, you don't. And then she takes an arrow, and then when she tries to shoot, it fails because he literally cut the line, right? He just, no more arrow. No more bow and arrow. And then you can still see him just standing there. He did it that fast, right? But then Captain Alexander is barely crawling and he tries to shoot him. And then he just dodges it. No, wanna know what happens? You know, like when the reverse flash, there's like, he's fading in and out, like you can see him here and here. That's what happens. And then the bullet goes right through him and hits her in the head. She falls onto the ground and she's dead. And then the dude just dies of blood loss. Like, they took a massive L there, right? And then a private security force from that from that universe also shows up. And then he's like, great, I have to deal with even more child's play, right? And it's like a bunch of helicopters and a bunch of soldiers, and then they're told to get back, and they each have riot shields too. And then the main leader jumps from her jet, right? And then she lands it doing a cartwheel. And then she starts shooting, right? Basically, she has black grayish hair. Her suit is black and gray, right? Like, it's mainly black, but on all the places where you move need to be flexible, it's gray. And also she's wearing like a robotic mask, right? Like, it's gray here, and then it has a blue thing right here. It has a bunch of sensors, and then she just starts shooting with her 2 laser pistols, And he's even letting her, and then wanna know something? He says, oh, I'll actually let it hit me. Wonder what it does, and then it hits him, and it actually does damage. Like enough to make him like, ah. Like when you get a burn, like, ah. And then, wanna know what? He immediately just does a shockwave, just, and then when he's jumping, right, he pauses time and he goes through like one of the soldiers' remotes, like right there, right? And then he pulls up the file on her, and she's actually blind, and that she uses those senses to see, right? So what he does is that he takes money out of his pocket, and then he takes some spray cans, and then he like, you know, puts the money there, and then he goes, and then he literally spray paints on her mask, including on all the sensors. I want to know what too? Basically, he took the gun and took it apart, and like he made his own, like, you know, like the little container thing in spray bottles that has the whole, you know, like spray part where the liquid, where the stuff comes out, right? You know that? He takes that and then he modifies it, and then he puts it in each of her guns. So now whenever she pulls the trigger, that'll go off inside her gun, right? And then, he tries to think of an embarrassing color, right? And he decides to make her entire suit just covered in yellow, right? And then he goes and eats breakfast. He like gets a burger. No, he eats lunch. He goes to get a burger. He gets fries, a large milkshake, onion rings, he steals some acid, no, like, not like, you know, the, like, little acid that can burn you, like, and he drinks it. No, he injects it in himself, so then that way his body's more damaged, so she has more of a fair fight, and then he goes back in his spot, and then he uses social media for like 10 minutes, and then he puts his phone away, and then he pauses time again, and then immediately she falls onto the ground, but she's still shooting like, and like at this point she's shooting at the moon. And she's like, oh, what happened to my senses? And then he's like, yo, I know you're blind. I just spray painted all over your senses, you know that, right? And then she's like, damn, attack! And then they start shooting and everything. But he has but he wanna know what he does? He just decides to trap them all. Basically, they were on the side of the road that's being worked on, right? And they had just put a road in, but one of the employees accidentally put cement in there, right? So, there was still cement in there, so he just broke that piece of road, and they just all, and he paused time and he broke it, right? He there took chunks out and everything, and he gets a camera set up, like little 4K 120 FPS cameras with the proper lighting and everything. And he's like, hey guys, this is Zorgo, and I know it's a weird name, but I don't care. And today I will be pranking these private security force companies. I just spray painted all over this one's suit. She's the leader. And wanna know something? One of the employees put concrete in there accidentally, but they didn't have enough time to clean it up. So they just decided to put a road on top of it with the cement still in there. And it's still like, you know, it hasn't like solidified. So I just took out the road. I just took out chunks of it, and they're about to fall in 3, 2, 1, and then boom, they fall into the cement, and they can't get out. And for the for the airplanes, you actually put like little gifts in there that have confetti and balloons, but the balloons are full of acid, and it automatically opens anyway. So when it opens, boom, a huge flash appears, and that flash is actually so loud that it actually broke all the all the controls for the helicopters, right? And it actually messed with the private jet that she jumped out of. It messed with us. It messed with that private jet's senses, right? But it should be back to normal after a little while. But yeah, boom, it comes crashing, but it doesn't explode because it's not that high. And then even more confetti comes out, and he's like, okay guys, that was an epic prank. And honestly, I don't know why I'm saying this. I just feel like a wannabe funny person. But yeah, join my V-Bucks giveaway. That would be really interesting. You just need to tell me your mom's credit card number, all of the security, your address, I will definitely give you a lot of Robux. So yeah, thanks for that, bye. And then he gets out of there with the camera, and then he literally goes to China, and he goes to an abandoned, Chinese warehouse that the government used. He gets the computer, and then he puts it up, and then he uses one of the employees' YouTube accounts who died a long time ago, and they had no videos either, and then he uploads that video, and then boom, he gets out of there, and then he waits 30 minutes, right? And then he comes back, and he goes back into his car, right? And then he gets out, and then he comes back to his family, and he's like, yo, did you guys hear what happened? And they're like, yeah, it's all over the news. Apparently, I think I saw him upload or something. It was in Chinese. It seemed like it was in Chinese a little. It said this video, nah, just scratch all that part about talking about it. She's just like, yeah, it's all over the news. Why would he do that to people? And then he's like, well, at least he didn't kill anybody. With a little smirk, right? But yeah, he puts back his suit on in the middle of the night, and then he searches the entirety of the world, and then boom, he finds the the girl who is blind and needs sensors. He finds out where she lives. She lives in a private security house and whatever, right? And then he overhears him talking about, this isn't my universe. Who even was that guy? This isn't our universe. You better get me back. Right? And then he has an idea. He travels so fast that you can't even see him. And he just around it. And he's like, oh, that was funny to me, wasn't it? And then immediately she uses heating and everything like that. She uses thermo everything, new vision stuff, and he's actually moving so fast that can't be detected. He's like, that was really fun, but that was my assistant. You don't know what I'm capable of, so I would suggest you meeting with me, right? And wanna know what he does? He goes to a nearby U.S. missile facility, and then he takes an airstrike, and then he launches it at the private warehouse, and then he drops a note, and then she catches it, and then the US is like, hello. That was not us. It seems like somebody may have hacked or somehow gotten into our nuclear and airstrike arsenal. We very apologize for this, and we will be covering for the damages. And she's like, it's him. And her assistant's like, no. He mentioned something about a boss, about the guy you fought being his assistant. Maybe you should go there. We'll have security, right? And then he has an idea, right? Basically, when she arrives and like the security surrounding the building, before she can even do anything, he says, take your mask off. I want to see what you look like, right? And then she does, and then boom, he takes her out of the suit, throws her in a trap door, locks it, and then goes into her suit. And he also manages to hack all the security systems, so he's in. And he's like, it was no one's here. Seemed like it was just a coincidence. Let's go back. And then he makes a plan to do the most damage to US government sites like Area 51 and stuff like that. He realizes that they'll eventually upgrade their security and eventually he'll be detected. So he uses her and he goes into a nearby facility. Boom, she swipes in, she gets in, and then she uploads a virus that he can control remotely that can't be detected in all the computers, and then she leaves. She said, okay, it seems like no missile is targeting my house. And then she leaves. And then the virus immediately launches a semi-nuke, which is a new project they made. It's like a mini nuke. Like it can destroy one government facility, an entire one. Right? Like a regular old Area 51, it can destroy that with just one. Right? So he launches two of them onto each. So the virus launches two of them on each one. Right? And then boom, almost all the government sites are being hacked or destroyed, and all the data was actually, and someone hacked in, took all the data out, all of them too, and it was released all publicly. And apparently they have aliens, they have high tech too, and what else? He uses her body to break into the White House, shoot the president in the head, make her team take out everyone there, rig it with bombs, undetectable bombs too, 5 nukes, 10 semi-nukes, and over 20 TNT sticks, and then boom, right? All the government authorities, right? Like if they die, there will be no one, there will be no one that can lead the US, right? So they go in and they have a discussion about what she wants, and then when they agree, he travels so fast out of that suit that you can't even see him leave, right? You just see the suit fall on the floor, and then a gust of wind, and then boom, your life is ended. He runs out, and then he activates all of them, and then boom, the White House explodes along with New York. But then he realizes maybe I should tackle it head on, so he goes directly in the epicenter, and he stands there. But he's actually traveling so fast and speed around it that no one can see him, and then when it's over, he gets out of there. And he decides that maybe his armor needs upgrades. You might be saying, oh, if his arm is so strong, then why can't it handle a human laser? And it's because it wasn't designed for human lasers. This material that he uses in mind was thought to fight high-tech aliens. Aliens that have the most advanced laser beams. That's why. It was only meant to protect the user of those things. So when it was hit with a laser that it wasn't, made to handle, it obviously did damage. Right? So he creates a new material, right? Super thin layer, right? Smaller than atoms. Right? Super flexible, but also impervious to any laser, and then he puts it on his suit. Right? And he just murdered, and then boom, he goes into his car that's in New York, and then he gets out of there and he goes back home and he says that, oh, I just had to go to a business trip. And then he does something else to raise suspicion off him. He travels so fast that you can see him stand still and just like his phone like almost stood still, but in reality he just bombed a local Starbucks. And then he comes back and then he continues walking like, right? And then they're talking and they're like, there's no way he's the Zorgo or whatever. I saw in his post he calls himself the Zorgo, but we just saw him right here in front of us using his phone while the Zorgo just bombed a Starbucks. There's no way it's him. We literally just saw him move too. And they're like, yeah. And they call the authorities and they're like, never mind, we have proof. And one of them was actually recording the whole thing of him standing there, and he actually saw it, right? They're traveling so fast that you can't see him, and he was right next to them. Right? So he has an idea. He hacks into the federal database, and then he locates every phone, and then he starts to overheat the battery so much that almost 75.5% of all the phones explode within 2 minutes. And then he just decides to stop because it's becoming boring for him. And he still stops crying too, but he kind of has some fun, But yeah, and then he realizes that he forgot to talk to his friends, Otto Octavius and Mysterio. So he goes there and they have a plan. Apparently, Otto Octavius and Mysterio are trapped in this new universe. And they have to and they think that the only way out is to defeat the Spider-Man. And he can't help them out because the whole reason he was able to travel across multiverses is because of his powers. If he was a regular human and he was launched through multiverses, he would be incinerated. And sure, they're really advanced, but they can't handle it. And also, Mysterio is the death for all the multiverses. But how do I say this? How do I say this? He's trapped, right? Basically, Otto Octavius turned on Mysterio's back and made a device, right? That whenever it's on, it will trap Mysterio in this universe whenever he has a suit, and he hasn't even tried to leave yet. So when he does try, he'll be stopped. And it's because Otto Octavius wants all the help he needs. He also puts Otto Octavius put a bomb in almost every single chip in Mysterio's suit. But like a death bomb. It can incinerate any living organism and presumably death itself. So yeah, he goes back. And then he meets with them and they discuss their plan, but they still need more villains. Maybe they can make a team of 60, the Sinister 60.